Hello everybody, good morning and welcome to the United Stands. I'm Mark Goldbridge and this is your latest Manchester United news as we discuss a huge blow potentially in the sale of Manchester United with the Glazers sealing a major investment sponsorship deal with what we know as Snapdragon, but obviously this is the company behind Snapdragon, which is an American company. This is going to be announced officially by the club. It was leaked last night. What does that mean about the sale of Manchester United when a company that has links with Sir Jim Ratcliffe and Mercedes? Could this mean the Glazers are staying? We'll talk about that. Also, more stories coming out this morning about Jadon Sancho. Obviously, he's deleted his tweet last night. However, there are new stories coming in this morning, sort of hammering home Ten Hag's frustration around Sancho's, untimeliness, lack of effort, etc. We've heard it all before, but we're hearing it again this morning. And then we've got Gareth Southgate coming out effectively slamming Manchester United fans for their ridiculous treatment of Harry Maguire and the media. And but you know what? Southgate really needs to look in the mirror and realise that the only person causing problems for Harry Maguire is him. Ridiculous to bring him on yesterday. Didn't need to bring him on. Scores a goal for bloody England, for Scotland, and then he comes out and defends him. You're the contributor. Stop spinning it, Gareth. You're the problem here. Stop having a pop at Man United or Man United fans. We wanted to sell him in the summer. He refused to go because he wants a bloody payout. Why can't fans just say anymore, he's not a very good player, I don't want him to play? Why is that bullying or spin or unfair? Footballer doesn't play well, fans don't want him at club. Simple as that. Why has football become more about PR and sympathy than actually fucking playing football? It's ridiculous. Our forefathers would be disgusted. Why are we now living in an era where an interview about sympathy or a PR spin from your manager gets you another England cap? Player doesn't play well. Player gets treated, better than everybody else unfairly, and we just have to swallow it. Grow up, Gareth. You're meant to be the bloody England manager. Anyway, we'll get on to that. I'm not being called out by Gareth Southgate, and I don't think anybody should. We'll get into that in a bit, but it really gets my goat. Footballer plays crap for 18 months and gets criticised, and then England manager comes out and tells everybody they're wrong. Who are you? You wouldn't get a job in the Premier League, mate. You've only got a job at England because you're a politician who wears a nice suit. God, can you not see you're the problem? I tell you what, we're going to be back with Rage Bridge again here. Anyway, it's a woke world, says Glenn. Well, I don't know about that. I mean, I don't know about that, but I do think that PR is becoming more important than the player's ability now, and I'm not here for that. And if they want a head-to-head on it, let's have a chat. You know what? It's very easy to sit in front of a microphone and say what you want to say, but what about having a question back? Bring on the rage, says PJ. Anyway, we will start off, of course, with the headline. Welcome to the Members Club, but I'm sure that's going to be an interesting section when we get onto it. Cringegate, says SD. But I want to start off with this Snapdragon deal. So apparently it's going to be one of the biggest deals in Premier League history, probably in football. £60 million a year to have Snapdragon on the shirt instead of TeamViewer. Now the interesting thing for this is that Fabrizio said last night it's for next season, but other people have hinted that it's for a number of seasons. Now, as I understand it, the TeamViewer deal hasn't got that long left. Are Snapdragon taking the TeamViewer deal until the end of its cycle, or are they starting a new shirt sponsor? Because that will be quite big. Why is this a huge blow for the sale? Well, it's twofold really. First of all, the Glazers continuing to do business as usual is concerning. Every transfer they make that Qatar wouldn't want is a problem, and every sponsorship deal they do that Qatar wouldn't want is a problem, because you're attached to those players and you're attached to those deals. You don't sign a 5-year shirt sponsorship deal and then go next week. Doesn't make any sense. You sign a 5-year shirt deal, you're probably looking to stay for 5 years or at least a couple of years. So it doesn't make a lot of sense to be doing shirt sponsorship deals when you're looking to sell the club in October. So that, to me, is a concern. Why would you not just leave it for the new owners? Secondly, there are links between the company at the top of Snapdragon, I forget the name, but I know it's got a Q in it, and Mercedes, who Ineos and Sir Jim have got connections to. Regardless of that, I think for me, and I've said this a few times, what if Manchester United are doing long-term sponsorship deals like this, which are big, then that suggests to me that the Glazers, Richard Arnold and everybody else is looking at the long term. Doesn't look like they're losing their jobs, does it? We know there is a pathway to this. We know what Sir Jim Radcliffe said a couple of days ago. We know that there is a pathway where Sir Jim Radcliffe allows the Glazers to stay and they all work together, doing what they've been doing for the last few years. Of course. So Qualcomm, that was it. Thank you very much, A1. So I look at this sponsorship deal, and I've got nothing against Snapdragon. You know, I don't know anything about them, but I think it's a pathway to the Glazers staying through Sir Jim. And that's my hunch at the moment. I'm not comfortable with how long this sale is taking, because Qatar is such an easy deal to do. It was an easy deal, as I said yesterday. It was an easy deal yesterday. It was an easy deal in March. It was an easy deal in May. It was an easy deal in June. It's an easy deal today. The money is there. You walk away with the money. We sell the club. What's not an easy deal to do is this technical deal where the Glazers stay with a certain amount of percentage. Sir Jim has a certain amount of percentage. You keep the shareholders happy. How do you finance that? You know, that's going to take time. And ultimately what's happening at the moment is time. Absolutely, if I was buying Manchester United, and I know some people will say it doesn't make any difference, Mark, it's just business as usual, it's just doing a shirt sponsorship deal that needs to be done because TeamViewer want out. I completely take that on board, but also, if you were selling the club in October, why would you bother doing shirt sponsorship deals? Why would you not just say to Qatar, do you want to do it yourself? And they'll probably say, yeah, we've got loads of people lined up. So, look, I don't have masses to add, but it is major news because I feel that, you know, and look, I saw people last night, and to be honest with you, I was dealing with something else important last night, but I was on social media last night, and I did see people saying last night, you know, circulating emails for the company behind Qualcomm, I think it was, and there was a lot of outpouring about it, and TeamViewer had the same. I mean, it is Manchester United is such a weird thing, you know, as a football club, was such a weird thing because fans don't walk away from the club in the main. They won't do that. So you will get people that will sponsor Manchester United despite those fans backlashing and saying, do not sponsor our club. They will still do it as collateral damage because they'll go, all right, fans vocally haters, but the reality is there's still a huge positive having your shirt, having your sponsor on a Man United shirt where loads and loads of people watch it and still people want to talk about Man United. So it's a weird one because I was thinking about this last night. If you're a TeamViewer and you've got loads and loads and loads and loads of United fans bombarding you with emails and bad reviews and saying you're Glazers, you know, you're funding the Glazers, yes, that's not very nice. But on the other hand, every picture of every Man United player and every match that's on the TV has got TeamViewer on it. And that's publicity, isn't it? So, and every newspaper outlet that uses Man United because they'd rather talk about us than Man City, and every other rival that talks about Man United because their club's not very interesting, TeamViewer. So it's like Man United's name is why people will always come forward and sponsor the club. It doesn't do us as fans any good at all, but that is the situation as we know it. So, yeah, look, let's wait and see what happens. The pendulum swings with this sale from, you know, day to day sometimes, but certainly week to week and month to month. And at the moment, I think these sort of things just make me very suspicious and concerned that this is just the pathway to... I don't think Avram and Joel Glazer want to leave Manchester United. I think we need to just accept they don't want to leave Man United. Now, whether that's because of the Super League, whether that's because they like making money out of the club, God knows what it is, but I don't think they want to go. And ultimately, that's why I think they're looking for this pathway of being involved, signing off deals like this, and working towards some sort of deal where they can stay. And I guess we'll just have to wait and see what happens with that. And I really, really hope I'm wrong. The TeamViewer deal was meant to run for longer, I think, but United and TeamViewer came to an agreement to end the partnership early. Not sure, though. No, that did happen, Horn. That did happen. But how long this Snapdragon deal is, I don't know. Morning, the club has become a retirement plan for the Glazers. Nothing more. This is just a typical from the Glazers, and my dad's funeral was very beautiful. Thank you for your kind words and support, says Mohammed. Thank you very much, Mohammed. I hope you and your family are doing well. Pig Riser says, if you read books about United's history in the mid-20th century, it's inspirational. The club is no longer inspirational. Thank you very much for that. and Manchester United will be relegated this season. Well, that won't happen, Jonas. That won't happen. Certainly not with that in place. Yeah, we'll have to wait and see. We'll have to wait and see what happens with it. Are you worried about Brighton, says Ladios? That's still a little bit of time ahead for us because we've still got other stuff to talk about. So let's talk about, I want to talk about this Maguire thing, but it is very England specific. So let's stick to Manchester United for the moment. This is coming out from The Athletic this morning. Now, remember last night we did the video to say that Jadon Sancho had deleted his statement on Twitter. So you've got to see that as Sancho stepping down, as we said last night. Well, for whatever reason, he has deleted it, and that needed to happen. The interesting thing this morning is that The Athletic, who would be one of the more credible outlets in the UK, they have basically done a hit piece on Jadon Sancho this morning. So Jadon Sancho deletes his tweet last night, potentially extinguishing the issue. But then the next morning, a piece comes out which is effectively a hit piece on Jadon Sancho, and a hit piece, I mean, it's negative towards Jadon Sancho, saying this: Erik ten Hag had become increasingly exasperated with Jadon Sancho's punctuality and what was perceived as sluggishness in training. This was also noticed by some teammates, some of who share the manager's frustration. I mean, that's a massively damning statement there. In The Athletic, we've had a few days of this with Sancho. He's deleted the tweet yesterday. You expect a period of calmness as all parties try to find a solution. And then the day after Jadon Sancho deletes his tweet, this hit piece comes out, which, there's no ambiguity here. There's no grey area. Ten Hag exasperated with Sancho's punctuality, which means turning up for training, etc., and sluggishness in training, which means laziness in training. And this has also been noticed by his teammates, and some of who share the manager's frustration. So Sancho's been lazy in training, late for training, and other teammates agree with the manager that he is not trying effectively. I mean, if you're Sancho this morning, you're almost like, put that tweet back up, aren't you? Because it's like, I've taken the tweet down, and we don't know the ins and outs of why that's been taken down, but it's certainly not a truce, is it, from both sides? Because that is very, very damning, as I said. Last season, Ten Hag and the coaches tried to get Sancho to arrive on time by setting a schedule at least 1 hour earlier than the other players. This worked at first before he fell back into familiar patterns. I mean, this is terrible. Obviously, I'm just going to say this is a news show and we're reading a bit of news, and not every bit of news is true. But if I'm Sancho this morning and he'll be rolling into training, I'm like, hold on a minute. We've had a chat. I've deleted the tweet. I'm on the way to work. Well, if he's got up yet, maybe he's late. I don't know. But that's a joke. But when he does get to training, he's going to see these quotes and he's going to go, hold on a minute. This is a bloody... What's going on? But this is not good. This is not good because it's really hammering home, whoever is giving this information to The Athletic, it's really hammering home that Sancho, has a real issue with turning up for training, and is sluggish in training, and his issues with turning up for training are so bad that the club had to implement a schedule to get him up an hour earlier, so he was in for training, and it worked for a bit, but he fell into familiar patterns. Now look, I can't walk in other people's shoes, especially if they are a size smaller than me. It's very painful. Nobody can walk in other people's shoes. But I've got to say, I'm somebody that, as I've said before, whether it's depression, whether it's mental health, whether it's just being a moody shit, sometimes in a morning, I'm arguing in the shower with myself. It's a battle. I've spoken about this in the past. It's a battle, and I'm sure everybody has this. I've been watching this Tyson Fury documentary over the last few weeks, and his mood swings are very similar to mine in the sense that I can be like that. I don't think I've got bipolar, and I don't really think I've got mental health, although we probably all do have a level of it. But it does. I just assume everybody's like that. You have the highs and you have the lows. I get up in the morning sometimes and I'm very happy with my life. I love what I do. I love my family and everything like that. But, sometimes you're in a dark place. You can't help that. And so I get that. I get that waking up in the morning, you can feel bad, but never in any job I've had, and some of the jobs I've had, I've hated, but never have I woken up at 6 o'clock, whether it was a paper round, working in a cheese factory, working in a bank, when I was in the police, when I've got to get up at 4 o'clock in the morning because I've got to get an early train to London to do a shoot or anything like that. Never have I woken up to the alarm and gone, no, I don't care if I'm letting people down. I don't care if I'm letting myself down. I'm not going to do it. So I cannot walk in those shoes. I cannot walk in those shoes when it's a footballer who is living the dream we all wanted to dream as kids, or we all dreamt as kids, can't get to training for Man United. I cannot fucking understand that mentality, and I cannot have any understanding of it. This is my bloody dream, to get up and go and train with Manchester United, but be sluggish and not turn up. I can't get my head around that. And what I would say is, whatever the reason is, whether it's laziness, mental health, whatever valid reason there is, United shouldn't be recruiting these players. We're not a charity. So if these players that don't turn up for training on time have got mental health issues, we should certainly help them like Ten Hag has, but we should be looking to move them on, because football is elite. And you can't carry people that don't have that elite mentality. And I know that sounds ridiculously harsh, but this is where football's going wrong. This is where Southgate's going wrong. We're turning football into a sympathy sport. And football, just like 100 metres running, you don't let a slow person run in the 100 metres Olympics final. It's elite level sport. People pay to watch elite level sport. And if United have got a collective of players that are unambitious or can't be arsed, they need to get rid of them for whatever reason. And I don't understand why we're talking this morning about a player that apparently, allegedly, has had to have a system put in place to get him into training on time and still can't do it. Look, I have sympathy 100%. I really do, because who knows what problems players have. But Man United need to move this on, because you can't have this at a football club. You can't have that. It's not elite level sport, is it? It's not elite level sport. It's fucking pub football. I used to play for a pub team. You'd meet in a car park to go for the away ground, and you never knew who was going to turn up based on how many pints they'd had last night. That's pub football. But why have Man United got a pub football mentality? Our recruitment structure is a joke, as Mura says. And I find this embarrassing. It's embarrassing for Manchester United. Sancho has to resolve his own issues. That's his life, and let's hope he can resolve it. And I'm sure there is and will be a story that comes out, because this is what footballers do these days. But the reality is, and that's a good thing to know the truth, but Man United's not a charity. We've got the Man United Foundation for that. The first team's not a charity. We need to have elite level management and mentality, and there's just too many problems in that football club. People not turning up for training on time, people not putting effort in training, people deciding they don't want to go and play football. I mean, I watched England-Scotland last night. McTominay was shit. Absolute shit. I'm going to call it out. Like, for the last 3 or 4 days, we've had people saying he should be starting for Manchester United. Ali McCoist was saying on TalkSport the other day, I don't understand why he's not starting for Manchester United. Pray tell us, Ali, who he starts ahead of. He was playing as an attacking midfielder for Scotland last night. He was the invisible man. We're meant to be dropping Bruno Fernandes for McTominay. And this is a guy that decided not to go to Fulham. He didn't want to go to Fulham because he wanted to stay at Man United. This is a problem at this football club. There are people who refuse to leave because they'd rather sit on the bench. That's not a winning mentality. That's not the right mentality. We've had problems with people not turning up for training. This is not just a Sancho issue. The whole club needs new ownership, breaking down from the bottom and rebuilding with proper structure, and none of these jokers. I don't want any bloody joker ex-player getting involved because it's good for their bloody, PR. We need elitism. We need absolutely the best from top to bottom. Otherwise, these problems are going to keep happening. A source at Dortmund has told The Athletic that Jadon Sancho was mentally tough on the pitch. However, he could be quite childish and unprofessional with little things. Missing the occasional team meeting and oversleeping was seen as an issue. Well, I will jump to Sancho's defence here, and I will say that he is a Manchester United player. He is not a Dortmund player. I mean, are we gonna talk about Anthony going on strike at Ajax? He's a Man United player. I mean, and ultimately, I don't want to even hear about his issues at Dortmund. I mean, they could be a signpost to potential issues that United inherited, but anything that was going on at Dortmund means United should have known. So United are fucking stupid for buying him then, aren't they? I mean, that's just typical United recruitment. If we're suffering with the same issues that Sancho had at Dortmund, well done United for giving him 300 grand a week and paying 75 million pounds for him. I mean, what a prat club we are in relation to recruitment. You've got Dortmund, who were already putting it out there that Sancho had a few issues in relation to turning up and training. And United go, there's 300 grand a week and 75 million. It's just incredible how we recruit players. And of course, this has got nothing to do with Ten Hag. Nothing to do with Ten Hag. It happened before that. Destructor says he's actually on 350k a week. I mean, 300k a week's ridiculous. If it's 350, I mean, it's absolutely incredible. So yeah, some stories coming out about Sancho this morning. Look, the difficulty for me is that I'll say it how it is. That's how, I'll say it how I feel. And Sancho was a player I was very excited about. Sancho is a player. And look, it's not personal. Like, people don't get this. I don't want to and will not be going to New York with Jadon Sancho to a party. It's not going to happen. I'm too busy, and I don't really want to go to New York to a party. My life's too busy. But so it's not personal. I'm not looking for Jadon Sancho to drop into my DMs or anything like that. He's welcome if he wants to chat. That's fine. But that's not my angle on this. My angle is I want good footballers playing for the football club that I love. And as a footballer, I think Sancho, if he's on it, has the potential to be a really influential player in Premier League football. The way he plays the game when he's on it is technical, and we need more technical players that can pass and move. So as a player, I liked the idea of Sancho. The reality, I can't stand it. And the sooner he goes, the better for himself and the club. But I've said this before about Rashford, and it's spun around. So it can spin around. I'm not going to be stupid enough to make that mistake twice. I said it about Rashford at the end of the Rangnick season. Here is a player who's just not on it, doesn't look engaged, doesn't look happy. It's time to part ways. And look at Rashford last season. So it can still turn around. And it's very dangerous to say it's over. But it's not looking good. And to be honest, there is also a piece in The Athletic where it says that Man United wanted him to go to Saudi Arabia, but he rejected it. So I think that United want rid of him. And I think when he's deleted that tweet last night, and then these stories are coming out this morning, I think that they want him gone. Laurie Whitwell also saying in The Athletic that Eric Ten Hag set Sancho early roll calls in a bid to get him to turn up on time, but issues persisted and training levels prompted deselection for Arsenal. I mean, it's incredible. It's absolutely incredible, if true. And I don't think Laurie Whitwell was the sort of person to just lie. If this story is true, that Ten Hag has had to set Sancho early roll calls and he's not turned up. I mean, bloody hell, can you imagine Bruno Fernandes having to get a message from Ten Hag to say, set your alarm and make sure you're up for 7 o'clock? I mean, what IQ of these players have we got? But as I said, you can't walk in somebody else's shoes. Jadon Sancho's not a Man United fan, is he? I'm a Man United fan. You're a Man United fan. If I had training for Man United at 9 o'clock and Ten Hag says make sure you're up by 7, I'd be up by 3. I wouldn't sleep the night before anyway. I would wake up every morning and say, I can't believe I'm living this life. I cannot believe it. This is amazing. But the modern footballer probably sees themselves as more important than the football club, don't they? So I don't know. I don't know where this goes next. But what I will say is that I think it looks really, really, really concerning. And it reflects really, really badly on Manchester United, if I'm being honest. Could he play against Brighton? Could do. And Joseph says, we can't just focus on Sancho's mental health because his issues are also affecting many other fans who suffer from their own mental health issues and find supporting our football team a distraction from their everyday issues, says Joseph. And Sancho will only go down from here, says Stone. Look, I try always to be even-handed here. I didn't like it last week when the stories came out about Sancho being, very loud and then very quiet. I don't really need to know about his personality because we've had players at Man United who are legends, who are complete and utter arseholes off the pitch. Like, they're not nice people. So are they no longer a legend anymore? But they were brilliant on the pitch. They were brilliant on the pitch, and they provided amazing memories, but they're arseholes off the pitch. So what my point is, why are we character assassinating players? It doesn't matter if they're shy or quiet or loud and arrogant or a knobhead or, you know, amazing people. What if there's a player that you think's absolutely shit, but they're the nicest person off the pitch? Are you gonna start liking them as a player because they're nice off the pitch? It's stupid. You know, what a player is like off the pitch is irrelevant to what they are like on the pitch. We want good players to play for Manchester United. So when I see this stuff about Sancho and his personality, I'm a little bit like, that's an irrelevance. But what I am thinking this morning is, he's deleted that tweet, and this morning we've probably had the most credible leak around Sancho since Ten Hag said what he said against Arsenal, and it's the day after he's deleted the tweet. So look, I'm interested in that sort of stuff. I'm interested in how a story develops, and I think it's really interesting that United today possibly have some part in that Athletic article, unless it's somebody from the dressing room. And United can't control everybody, they can't. But whoever's leaking that out, I think it's an issue. Of course it's an issue for Jadon Sancho. We'll have to see how it develops, because I don't think it's the end of the world. I really don't. Jack says Sancho's a nice lad. He might be a nice lad, but he can't. He's obviously pissed Ten Hag off in relation to his effort levels and turning up for training, and that doesn't mean, you know, that. As I say, we should be aspiring for elite level sport here. I think where the modern game has gone wrong, and where society in general is going wrong, is that it doesn't focus on the purpose of what we're talking about. It just wants to create this, you know, some people call it woke. I don't call it that, but you know what I mean. This just, you can't do this, you can't do that, and we operate. The reason many of us love football is because we love to lose, we love to win, we love the passion. We don't love to lose, but you know, the passion and feeling you get when you lose makes it so much better than when you win. It's competitive. And if you do something that's competitive and you live in that world of competition, then there are losers and there are winners. And losers sometimes lose because they're not good enough, and people will say they lost because they're not good enough. Welcome to competitive sport. What I don't like is the Southgates of this world and everybody else who, when somebody's not good, comes out and tells everybody else that you can't say that. Well, you should leave competitive sport. There's plenty of things you can do that aren't competitive. Go for a walk on your own without a dog, because even your dog might try and walk ahead of you. Oh, don't do that. You can't do that. Stop being a hater. Get your nose and your arse out of competitive sport if you don't like it when people say that person's not very good. Now, look, this takes me on to what Southgate said last night. So, Gareth Southgate on Harry Maguire. Now, remember, Gareth Southgate has picked Harry Maguire for this international break, despite him hardly playing for Man United in a year, being fifth choice Man United centre-back. Gareth Southgate chose to pick Harry Maguire, even though nobody in this country really thought that was a good idea. He then started him against the Ukraine, and then yesterday in a friendly, he brought him on at half-time when Colwill, who starts for Chelsea and is a young left-footed centre-back, and Tomori, who plays for AC Milan, haven't played 1 minute for England in this international break, and they are in the squad and they were on the bench. But Maguire played a full game against Ukraine, and then he brings him on at half-time in a friendly, instead of Colwill or Tomori in a friendly. He's still putting Harry Maguire on, right? Harry Maguire, who never lets England down, scores an own goal for Scotland and doesn't play very well. And then Southgate comes out and says this: it's a consequence of ridiculous treatment of him for a long period of time. It's a joke. I've never known a player treated like it, not by Scottish fans, but our own commentators, pundits, and whatever it is. It's beyond anything I've seen. And I say to this, people need to call Southgate to action here. What is he talking about? Who are you calling out here, mate? Are you calling out United fans? Are you calling me out? Who are you calling out? And you know what? If you're England manager, grow a pair and name names, because those names have a right to reply to your silly comment. What are you talking about? I mean, I'm stunned by it. I'm absolutely stunned about it. So Harry Maguire's criticism is it's not a result of bad performances, nepotism, and ridiculous selections by Southgate. It's actually to do with some conspiracy theory that's been going on for a long time, that he has been victimised because he is unique from everybody else and he gets treated badly for no reason. Okay. There are so many layers to this, Gareth, but let me lay it down to you. Erik ten Hag is a million times better coach than you. You are a bad coach. Erik ten Hag doesn't pick Harry Maguire. He would rather pick Victor Lindelof, Martinez, Varane, and Luke Shaw ahead of him. He tried to sell Harry Maguire in the summer, and Harry Maguire wouldn't leave because he wanted more money. He's not interested in playing football. He wanted more money. So, first of all, I think every Man United fan has got every right to say Harry Maguire is not a player I want at this football club. He's been crap for a year and he should have left the club this summer. He showed no ambition and he stayed because he wasn't getting the money he wanted. So, do not call Man United fans out, Gareth, because United fans have got more reason than anybody to sit there and say, I don't want Maguire at this football club. It's not ridiculous. It's not hate. It's not personal. It really is based on evidence, which maybe Southgate doesn't watch United, even though it's his job. He certainly doesn't watch Maguire play for Man United, because Maguire doesn't play for Man United. So Southgate needs to keep his gob shut in relation to Man United, because he's a fool. He's an absolute fool, what he's talking about. How can Man United fans be victimising Harry Maguire for any other reason than he's not good enough? And it's proven. Ten Hag doesn't think he's good enough. He tried to sell him and Maguire stayed because he wanted more money. That was the story. So I don't know what you're talking about, Southgate. I really, really don't know what you're talking about. He's not one of the best English centre-backs. And this myth that Southgate keeps putting out there, that he's never let England down. He scored a fucking own goal last night and he was crap against the Ukraine. You're living under a myth, mate, which is your whole career. If you don't win the Euros, now I could win the Euros with England next year, piece of piss. If you don't win the Euros next year, you're the worst English manager in history, because you've taken an English team that should have won the Euros 4 years ago, should win the Euros next year, and probably should have won the World Cup. England's just gone through its Spain period of 2010, where it should have dominated international football for 4 years and won at least 2 major trophies, and you've won none because you're crap. Absolutely crap. And as for this whole it's a consequence of ridiculous treatment of him for a long period of time. No, Maguire being booed or jeered or being spoken about all the time, it's not a consequence of anybody else's actions. It's a consequence of your actions. You pick a player that doesn't play for his club team. You pick a player for England that can't even get anywhere near his club team. You pick a player for England that nobody else would pick. And you bring a player on in a friendly when you should be giving younger players like Colwill a chance. You put him into that position yesterday and he fucked up. You put him on in the second half against Scotland and he didn't need to be there. He'd played against the Ukraine. He's your first choice centre-back. You should be bringing on at 2-0 up in a friendly against a poor Scotland team Colwill, who's been playing every game for Chelsea, and he's a left-footed centre-back. You should not be bringing on Harry Maguire, who you've played more times than anybody else and who is right-footed. You brought him on into a game he shouldn't have been playing in, and he fucked up. So all the boos, all the jeers, all the ridicule is on you, Gareth, because you shouldn't have fucking brought him on. He didn't need to go on. And it had everybody's backs up straight away, because they were like, why is Harry Maguire, who played on Saturday night for 90 minutes, coming on in a friendly in the second half? Why is he coming on, and why is Colwill or Tomori getting no game time when they deserve it? You fucked up, mate. You caused it, and it bit you on the arse. So what you did is what many people do who aren't good at their job. They get a microphone and they blame somebody else. Southgate blaming English fans or pundits or commentators or Man United fans or whoever else he's blaming is just a mirror. He's blaming himself because he is the one that is ridiculing Maguire. Because everybody else has got a brain and is going, why are you picking a player that isn't good enough for his club team? Why are you now picking a player over other players that deserve to get minutes in friendlies, and then you're exposing the fact that he's not good enough and he keeps making mistakes? There's only one person to blame here, and it's Gareth Southgate. And I'm not taking any blame for it, and I don't think anyone else should. As a Man United fan, I've said it time and time and time and time again, he's not good enough. And my vindication and proof is that the manager of Man United completely agrees with us and tried to sell him in the summer. So I have got no guilt about this at all. People shouldn't be booing Harry Maguire. I don't like it, but he ain't good enough. I don't know the guy. Maybe he's a really nice guy. But I'm telling you what, I'm tired of PR spin. And the amount of people messaging me this morning saying, this is on you, Goldbridge. This is you. This is on you because of your hate campaign. What hate campaign? Am I on my own? Am I stood outside Old Trafford going, Harry Maguire's shit? No, I'm not. Everybody else uses their own eyes. He doesn't play for Man United because he's crap. And that's what Ten Hag thinks. It's not a hate campaign. It's not personal. It's evidential. And Southgate, as England manager, should not be playing silly little games trying to deflect it onto everybody else when he's the guy who picks people like Calvin Phillips and Harry Maguire who do not play for their club team and gets the backup of everybody else with his silly favouritism. So Gareth, look in the mirror. You're the one causing the problems for Harry Maguire because you're picking favourites. Stop doing it and people might start to respect you. Colwell deserved a chance. He should have played yesterday. You didn't do it and it backfired. Own up to it. It's another chapter in the book of You're Not Good Enough to Coach at the Highest Level by Gareth Southgate. Ridiculous. Absolutely ridiculous. I'm not having it. I'm not having Man United fans being shot at by Southgate. He'll miss anyway, like he did in 96. But the point is, it's nobody else's problem last night. I'm watching England against Scotland because it's England against Scotland. I never expected to see Maguire play. When he scored, I felt sorry for him. I said it at the time. But I don't want to feel sorry for Man United players because straight away that makes me think they're not good enough. And there's nothing wrong in life with saying, certainly not in competitive sport, you're not good enough. What are we supposed to do now as football fans? Are we going to get desensitised? Are we going to have to sit here for the next 30 years? And is football basically going to become, I think he's rubbish. Don't say that, you'll get arrested. No, he didn't say he thinks he's rubbish. He said he thinks he's trying his best and really probably should be captain and get a pay rise. Good, you can stay. I mean, this is what's going on. Football is becoming more about PR. I've told you this before. Maguire is lined up for the Stephen Bartlett podcast or, Piers Morgan or something. If he isn't lined up for that, then he isn't playing the game. The only way back for Maguire is a sympathy vote. Go through your history. Did your dog get run over? Something like that. Something's got to be in there because... But you know what? Maybe his dog did get run over. Maybe there is a tragedy in the back of his life, and that's really, really sad. But it's not... Thing is, why are they personalising it? It's not personal. It's about football. Footballers have had a lot worse than being called crap and not good enough. They earn hundreds of thousands of pounds a week. There's no divine right to play for Man United, and there's no divine right to play for England. I'd play for Man United England and get abuse every single day, and I wouldn't care, because I'm playing for Man United in England. It's a bloody dream come true. But, it's not only do we pay these footballers massive money, not only do they have massive brand PR spin around them, we've now got to kiss their arse when they're not good enough. This is what football is. Football is about opinion, and I don't want that signing. He shouldn't be starting. He's my favourite player. It all falls into the same thing. I can't believe we've got an England manager basically calling out 99.999% of his country for saying they don't want Harry Maguire to play. And he is apparently the genius for picking him. It's incredible. I look at football now and I can't believe certain people are in a job. I really don't. Southgate doubling down on picking Maguire rather than listen to the public sentiment tells you everything you need to about him, and a bit rich saying he's unduly criticised given he's been one of the most protected and overrated players in recent years, says Robbo. What a comment. And of course, the downside to this is, come Friday, you're going to get Eric Ten Hag asked about 4 questions about Harry Maguire and the booing and how it's not fair, and, the PR goes on. We've lost to Arsenal. We've lost to Spurs. We've got 6 points from 12. That's the most important thing for me. Our piece is the game's gone soft. It's pathetic. I mean, it's pathetic. It's pathetic because footballers don't focus on their football. They spend, and I know this for a fact. I know this for a fact, right? You know when United were under Ranić in the January, we were getting really, well, everybody was getting good information because there were so many people leaking information. But we were getting quite a bit of information, and obviously we did quite a lot of videos at the time. But as we said at the time, there were players in that United squad in that really bad time after Solskjaer had gone and Ranić came in and it was all falling apart. There were United players at that time who, instead of going to training early and working hard in training, were using all their effort to spin that they weren't the leak, that they weren't the problem and other people were. I mean, that's what United players at that time, some, were spending their time and effort doing, and their energy. It wasn't about proving themselves in training so that they could play well on the pitch. It was about getting in contact with this brand and journalist to say this about them and this about them and deflect. And that's what the modern footballer's become. A modern footballer should be training, bit of golf if you're allowed, family time, focused on the next game, enjoying it, looking at how you can play better, watch videos of people who play in your position, learn for the short period you've got playing at the highest level. No, it's on the phone. Have you seen this written about me? Why is he getting away with it all the time? You know, and their agent, instead of saying because he's better than you, no, it's not right. Don't worry, I'll get in contact with this journalist. He'll say something positive. We are a terrible football club in relation to PR, and we've created monsters. We've signed monsters. We've created monsters. This backstabbing, PR-obsessed mentality where none of them seem to realise that if you play consistently well on the pitch, you will be loved by the fans. And if you play consistently badly on the pitch, you will get called out by the fans. What United try and do is they don't focus on the fact that they're consistently crap. They'll be consistently crap, but find a way that makes them popular. McTominay's done it for years. Like, there is a McTominay fan club, even though he hasn't had a good game for United for a year. And when he has a good game, I'll give him his credit. But there is a McTominay fan club. Like, there is. There's a lot of people who like McTominay. He hasn't played well for a year. That's absolutely fine if you want to do that. But I choose to champion players that play well on the pitch. And the players that I like Bruno, Martial over the years, Rashford, Martinez, Casemiro, if they have a bad game on Saturday, I'll say they had a bad game. But apparently I've got an agenda. I've got an agenda against certain players. I was in the minority sticking up for David De Gea. Sticking up for David De Gea. The easy thing to do was jump on the bandwagon and say he's crap. I stuck with De Gea till the end. I was in the minority. Bruno's one of my favourite players. There was a period of time where I was saying for weeks he was shit. So I have no agenda. I have one agenda, actually. My agenda is trying to find a way and calling out when we're not doing it, Man United being the club it should be. And I don't care if we sell Bruno or Rashford. If Ten Hag comes in and says, if Qatar buy the club and Ten Hag says sell Rashford and Bruno, I'll be stunned. My jaw will hit the floor, but I'll go, I back this manager because ultimately that if he thinks that's going to make us the best team in the world, we've got to go there. I've said it so many times. If you want to be the best, you've got to be ruthless and you've got to be aggressive. And if you're not ruthless and aggressive on the pitch, in the way that you run the club, in the way that you get rid of players, in the way that you buy players, then you'll never beat Man City because Pep is ruthless and he is aggressive. And United are timid and weak. And this is why we fail. You cannot go into the boxing ring with somebody who is aggressive and ruthless and strong and be weak and timid and cowardly. And that is the contrast between, and I never thought I would say this, the contrast between Man City and Man United at the moment is strong, aggressive ruthlessness from City and weak, timid cowardry from Manchester United. How can we succeed? You already know Southgate is waiting for Maguire's one good performance to see. I told you so instead of just admitting he was wrong. I call that the McTominay effect because there's people in the fan base who do that. They'll watch McTominay or Fred play crap for 10 games. They'll have one okay game and they'll go, I told you he was world class. That's not get out. That's not the Manchester United mentality. Man United players used to play one bad game in 20. When I was growing up and watching the teams with like Hughes and Cantona in it, very rarely there'd be a bad game from anybody. The vast majority of games were brilliant individual performances that added to the collective. Now it's the other way around and we champion the one good game in 10. Souness, for me, Scott McTominay walks into that Man United team. I mean, you know what? I'm Souness, I'm out. I don't know what you're talking about. And you know what? If you're such a good pundit, can you tell us who he walks into the team for? I'm tired of this. I'm going to start calling this out. I'm tired of this nonsense. It's rubbish punditry. For me, Scott McTominay walks into that team. That's what Graham Souness is saying. For who, though? Who are you dropping? Casemiro, Christian Eriksen, Amrabat, Bruno Fernandes, Marcus Rashford, Rasmus Højlund. I mean, and their end of the lesson. You're just talking out your arse. There's no... I can't... Football fans don't want to listen to nonsense anymore. They don't want to listen to Scott McTominay walks in the Man United side because you haven't told us who for. And you know why they don't tell you who for? Because they know they're talking arse. They know that if they say for Casemiro, they're going to lose their job. Channel 4 should ask for their money back. Rubbish. Aaron Ramsdale. Harry Maguire, as we've seen in the past few years with England, is one of the best defenders we've got. He's so strong mentally and he's got a great group of people around him and he knows his qualities. He's always a threat in the box for set pieces. He knows he can defend and he knows he's a leader. Mate, I think his last 2 goals are for Sevilla in Scotland. He plays for England and Man United. Look, I don't know why Ramsdale's probably his mate, and that, you know, I can't argue about footballers sticking up for their mates. I really can't. But sometimes you say it best when you say nothing at all. He's not one of the best players in England. He's not one of the best defenders in England. He doesn't play, Aaron. He hasn't hardly played in the Premier League. How can you be one of the best defenders in England, but you don't play in the English Premier League? He plays reasonably well for the England national team because you play farmers most of the time and Southgate picks him over other people. It's a myth that he's a good English centre-back. He gets picked because Southgate is obsessed with him. I'm guaranteeing you now, if Lewis Dunk had been playing instead of Maguire for the last year, people would be saying what a good player Dunk is. And this is the shame. This is the shame on Southgate. Maguire is not one of the best English centre-backs because he doesn't play in the Premier League. He gets basically gets given a gift every international break by Southgate. He picks him when he doesn't deserve to get picked. And then England play crap teams and he looks okay. But I'm telling you now, Lewis Dunk is better than Harry Maguire. We saw that last night and we've seen it for the last year. It's a myth. And everybody knows it's a myth. And it's, you know, but it's like Souness's comments about McTominay. Football fans are tired of being fed shit from people who think they know better than us. Like, we see it all the time. But, you know, what can we do? What can we do? But what we can do is just call it out for nonsense. And, you know, this is why I love social media when it's done the right way. Because 15 years ago, you'd be at school or work reading what Southgate said and there's no comeback and they can say what they want. A lot of idiots survived in football 15, 20 years ago because there was nobody to come back at them. At least we can do that now. Anyway, look, thanks everyone for watching. Got a fantastic video coming out for you at 2 o'clock on That's Full Football Challenge between Goldbridge and Angry Ginge. Don't forget to watch that. Smash a like on the video as well. We'll see what happens. Really interesting morning, of course, this morning. And yeah, thanks everyone for watching. Really, really, really big, stupid comments coming out all over the place. Yeah, whatever. It was a big show this morning and you played your part. Thanks, everyone. Don't forget the football challenge coming out in a bit, and I'll speak to you all in a bit. Thanks for watching.